Found in the dirt asterisk, the wind moved slowly across the broken land of Axtar 6, a forgotten alien colony where nothing beautiful lived anymore. Rusted ships, twisted metal, and garbage covered the ground as if the planet itself had been thrown away. Yalin, a lone human scavenger, walked carefully between the piles of junk. His boots made soft crunching sounds over broken glass and dried bones. He had visited many ruined worlds, but something about this place felt colder, emptier. Like even the ghosts had left, he scanned the wreckage with his old helmet light, searching for anything valuable: power cells, wires, old tech, maybe something rare to sell. He bent down to pick up a cracked energy module when he heard something. It was quiet, a soft whimper. So soft it could have been the wind. But Yalin paused and tilted his head. Again, he heard it, a weak sound like a broken breath. He turned sharply, light cutting through the junk. Nothing moved. He walked slowly, following the sound, heart beating faster now. Then he saw it underneath a collapsed cargo crate. There was a figure, small, thin, not moving, covered in dust and dried oil. Yalin dropped to one knee and gently moved some metal aside. What he uncovered made his chest tighten. It was a girl. Not human. Her skin was soft blue with pale markings across her arms and cheeks. Her legs were twisted in a way that made him wince. One arm clutched her chest. Her eyes were half open, glowing faintly, filled with fear. She didn't speak. She just stared at him, waiting like an animal expecting a kick. How long had she been? Harry Allen reached into his belt and pulled out a small water pouch. He held it to her lips. She didn't trust it at first, but after a few seconds, her lips moved. She drank slowly, greedily, like she hadn't tasted water in days. When she stopped, she whispered something. "Please don't sell me." Her voice was weak and cracked, but Yalin understood enough. She thought he was like the others, those who had ignored her, or worse. He shook his head slowly and offered his hand. She didn't take it. She tried to move but failed. Her legs wouldn't respond. "They left me here because I can't walk her." Words cut deeper than any wound. Yalin looked around. This place had been a slave dumping ground. Broken things had no value here. But something inside him refused to walk away. He looked at her again, at her small, fragile body, trying to be brave. He reached out again. This time, she didn't fight. He lifted her gently in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. Her skin was cold. As he walked back to his crawler, she pressed her face into his chest, hiding from the world. A single tear slid down her cheek. He placed her carefully in the back seat, wrapping her in his jacket. The crawler roared to life and rolled across the wasteland. The girl didn't speak again. She only stared forward, eyes wide, breathing shallow at the edge of the junk field. He stopped to scan her body. The screen showed old injuries, fractures, muscle damage, nerve damage. Someone had tried to heal her but gave up halfway. There were scars on her back, small and ugly, like someone had burned her. He clenched his jaw but said nothing back at his outpost. He laid her on a soft mat near the heat lamp. She looked around with slow eyes, as if waiting for pain to come. But it didn't. Yalin brought her warm soup and a dry cloth. When he turned to leave, her voice stopped him while he looked at her and replied simply because no one else did that night. Yalin couldn't sleep. The wind howled outside, but all he could hear was her voice, her fear, and that broken little sentence, "Please don't sell me." He didn't know her name. He didn't know what race she was. But he knew one thing. He wasn't going to let her be thrown away again, and somewhere deep inside her heart, for the first time in a very long time, the girl felt something small begin to grow hope. The world that broke her. The old heater in Jalin's outpost buzzed softly, casting a gentle orange glow across the room. The alien girl lay curled under a gray blanket, eyes wide open but unmoving. Her body was still, like she didn't trust the warmth, as if it might vanish if she blinked. Edgelin sat on the other side of the room, watching her from the corner of his eye. He worked silently, cleaning spare parts with an old cloth. Outside, the wind howled across the broken planet, lifting dust. And trash like ghosts wandering in circles. Hours passed before the girl spoke. My legs were crushed when the roof fell. No one came. Her voice was flat, no emotion, as if she were just stating facts. Yalin looked up but didn't interrupt. He waited. They said, I was born wrong. Weak bones. Bad balance. My mother left me behind when the soldiers came. My clan doesn't need defects. Yalin put the cloth down. The word hit hard. Defect. As if that was all. She was something broken, like a bad part in a machine. She looked at him. Eyes dim but steady. They sold the strong ones, fighters, clean bloods. They said I was trash, so they dumped me. I begged. I crawled after the ship. I screamed until my throat bled. No one even turned around. Her voice cracked for a second, but she held the rest in like a warrior. Yalin didn't speak. He just nodded slowly, letting the silence say what words couldn't. You're not trash, he finally said. She didn't answer. She only turned her face away from him, eyes shining with tears she wouldn't let fall. He handed her a small device I built this years ago. It's a mobility frame. Not perfect, but it might help you move around the outpost. She looked at it like he had handed her a star. Slowly, she reached out with shaking hands and held the device close. What's your name? Yalin asked. Admira. She whispered. Admira. That's a good name. She gave a small nod, like she barely believed it herself. Jilin helped her strap the frame to her back. The tech hummed softly, adjusting to her body. She tried to stand. Her legs trembled. The metal supports clicked into place. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Mira rose to her feet. She stood for 5 full seconds before falling forward. Yalin caught her instantly. Try again, he said gently. She did. Again, and again. By the 5th try, she took 2 slow steps before falling back onto the mat. She looked up at him, panting, chest heaving. I walked. Yes, you did. Outside the outpost, voices whispered in the dust. Nearby scavengers had noticed the strange girl being carried into the human shelter. Some said she was cursed. Others said she had rare blood, valuable blood. A few just wanted something to hate. The next morning, someone threw a stone at the window. Yalin stepped outside and found 2 local traders laughing. You wasting med packs on that cripple? One of them said she's just dead weight. Sell her and get something useful. The other Yalin didn't respond. He only stared until they walked away back inside. Mira had heard everything. She stared at the floor, jaw tight. They're right. She muttered. Yalin knelt beside her. They are cowards. You're still standing. That already makes you stronger than them. That night, Mira spoke again, this time softly, while staring at the ceiling. Before my legs broke, I used to dance. Not well, but I tried. The wind on my face, the sand under my feet. I was happy once. I think I miss that girl. The one who danced. Yalin didn't know what to say. But he knew this. He wanted to help that girl come back. The next day, he made a little training space beside the main room. Simple bars, padded flooring, mirrors. Mira stared at it like it was a temple. He stood beside her and nodded. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. She smiled, just a little. The first real smile he had seen on her face, and in that moment, Mira wasn't broken. She was healing step by step, and someone was finally watching. First steps of hope. Mira woke up before the sun touched the ruined skies of Axtar 6. The room was quiet, except for the low hum of the heater. Her body still hurt, but something inside her felt lighter, like her soul had taken one small breath. After years underwater, she pushed herself up on her elbows and reached for the mobility frame Yalin gave her. Her fingers shook, but she strapped it on without help this time. The small machine adjusted with a soft click, supporting her legs. She stood slowly, holding the wall for balance across the room. Yalin was half asleep in a chair, a datapad still glowing in his lap. He looked tired. He had stayed up late building support bars for her, welding old pipes into the wall so she could train safely. No one had ever worked this hard for her before. Mira walked 3 steps before falling onto her knees. She didn't cry. She clenched her teeth, stood back up and tried again. Her arms shook, her legs ached. But by the 5th try, she made it all the way across the room. She turned and saw Yalin watching silently. "You didn't sleep." She said. "You didn't fall asleep either." He replied. A soft smile touched her lips. Small and honest, the next few days became a routine. Yalin adjusted the frame's pressure. Mira practiced standing without holding onto the wall, then walking without the bars. Her balance improved. Her confidence grew. She could now walk to the kitchen, pick up a tool, help fix small things. "I'm not useless," she said one evening, holding a repaired power fuse. "You never were," Yalin replied. But not everyone saw it that way. One afternoon, a tall man approached the outpost while Yalin was outside searching for spare engine parts. Mira, alone inside, heard a knock on the metal door. She peeked through the side camera. The man had dark armor, long braids, and red eyes. "A bounty hunter. I smell rare blood," he said aloud, knowing she was listening. "Your value isn't in your legs, girl. It's in your bloodline. People are looking for you. Some want to end you, others want to breed you. Either way, you're not safe." Mira froze. Her breathing quickened. Her heart raced. She backed away from the door, legs shaking more from fear than weakness. "He'll be back," the hunter said. "And next time, I won't knock." He vanished into the dust just before Yalin returned. When Mira told him, Yalin didn't speak. He just went to the workbench and began sharpening a bloody. "I'm not leaving." "Mira said I wasn't going to ask you to," Yalin replied that night. She sat beside him while he added extra locks and reinforced the windows. She felt the danger around her growing, but something stronger was growing inside too. In the morning, Yalin handed her a modified training weapon, light, padded, but shaped like a real staff. "Time to learn more than walking," he said. Mira trained in the heat, sweating through her oversized shirt. She stumbled often, but she didn't stop. Each swing of the staff gave her rhythm. Each move gave her purpose. She didn't just want to stand anymore. She wanted to fight back. One night, after training, she sat beside the fire pit outside the outpost. The stars above were dim through the dusty sky, but still visible. Yalin sat beside her with 2 bowls of warm broth. "Do you know what your name means?" he asked. Mira shook her head. "In some human languages, it means light or blessing." She stared at him, surprised, then quietly repeated the word like she was hearing it for the first time. "Arao were never broken, just waiting to shine." She didn't reply, but her fingers closed around the bowl like it was something sacred. Her eyes glistened, not with sadness but something close to pride. Later, in the darkness, she stood quietly in front of the mirror Yalin had placed in the training area. Her body was thin, scarred, small, but she saw more than that now. She saw herself standing. She saw herself trying. She saw hope, and that was more than anyone had ever given her. For the first time in her life, she whispered to her reflection, "I'm not a defect, Miran. I'm still here." The bounty, the sun, never truly rose on Axtar 6. The skies remained a dull bronze, choked by decades of smoke and forgotten wars. Mira adjusted the straps on her mobility frame as she stepped outside the outpost. The wind carried the scent of rust and scorched plastic. But this morning, something else floated in the air. 2 eyes. She felt them watching her. Jalen was nearby, bent under a skiff, tightening a coolant valve. He always kept one ear open, one hand near a weapon. He had taught Mira to notice things, shadows that stayed too long, sounds that didn't belong, silence that was too perfect. And today, the silence was too perfect. Mira walked toward the broken fence line, pretending to check the perimeter sensors. From the corner of her eye, she spotted something unusual, a thin shimmer near the rocks. A surveillance drone. Small, cloaked, and illegal, she returned inside quickly. "We're being watched." She said he stood up fast, wiped his hands on a rag, and followed her to the feed screen. She rewound the footage and paused it on a frame showing the drone's reflection in a shattered panel. Jalen's expression darkened. "That's not local tech." He muttered, "What does it mean?" "It means someone powerful wants you back or dead." Mira swallowed. Hard. She had known her blood was different. She remembered medical chambers, white lights, sharp needles. Long ago, her people had started testing children, selecting only those with pure enhancements. She was one of the discarded ones. But what if the tests worked too well? What if she was more than broken? What if she was dangerous? That evening, they checked her medical implant, something Mira had forgotten she even had. Yalen connected it to his old scanner. The results made his face go pale. "There's a gene marker here. Locked behind encryption. Government-level code. This isn't some tribal scar. You're a living experiment." Mira's hands trembled. "Am I a weapon?" Jalen didn't answer. Later that night, while she slept, he sent an encrypted message to one of his contacts. "Off-world priority. Medical evac possible. One subject. Young. Enhanced. Danger level high. Needs safe extraction or protection protocol. We'll trade everything." He hit send. The reply came hours later. "No extraction possible. She's marked. Bounty across 5 systems. 500,000 credits. Dead. Double if delivered alive." The screen blinked again. "Jalen, walk away. This girl will get you killed." He stared at the message, then deleted. "I wasn't walking away." The next day, strange visitors came to the junkyard. They didn't enter the outpost but moved around the edges, scanning debris, pretending to search for scrap. Yalen watched from the roof, his old sniper rifle loaded. He didn't fire, not yet. Inside, Mira tried to stay calm. She spent her hours modifying her mobility frame. She added small tools, a blade holder, emergency shock pads. She trained every day, pushing herself to walk longer without assistance. Her body ached, but she didn't complain. Not anymore. One evening, while watching the security feeds, she whispered, "They're closing in, aren't they?" Yalen nodded. "I can't run fast enough." She said, "You don't have to run." He replied, "Then, what do I do?" "You fight." She looked up at him. Her voice was quiet but steady. "Will you stay if I do?" "Always." That night, Yalen upgraded the outpost defenses. Mira helped install trip mines and signal jammers. She moved like someone with purpose, not fear. She didn't want to be rescued. She wanted to choose her own fate, even if it meant standing her ground a few hours before dawn. They heard a transmission on the open frequency. "This is Unit Threx 27 of the Biogen Retrieval Force. We have come for Subject K9. Stand down and surrender the enhanced asset, or we will take her by force." Mira looked at Jalen. "That's me, isn't I?" Nodded. She stood slowly, her hand resting on the wall to balance. "Let them come." The wind picked up outside, stirring ash and sand. From the horizon, a dark shape moved, an armored dropship cutting across the sky. Behind it, smaller drones buzzed like wasps, hungry for blood. Inside the outpost, the lights dimmed as power shifted to combat mode. Yalen handed Mira a compact blaster. "First weapon," he said. "First time I feel ready," she replied. And as the engines of death approached, Mira, once broken, once abandoned, stood firm. She would not run, not this time, not ever again. "Run, little one." The sky over Axtar 6 cracked with thunder, but it wasn't a storm. It was the armored dropship breaking atmosphere. A monstrous roar echoed across the junk wasteland as wind and dust spiraled up. Mira stood at the doorway of the outpost, her mobility frame humming quietly, the modified blaster shaking in her grip behind her. Yalen checked the final defense systems. Motion sensors armed, auto turrets online, emergency tunnels cleared. His heart beat steady, not from fear, but from choice. He wasn't just a scavenger anymore. He was someone's shield. The first drone broke through the dust wall. It hovered like a hungry insect, eyes glowing red, scanning rapidly. Yalen didn't wait. A loud crack tore the air as his sniper rifle fired. The drone exploded mid-scan. A fiery burst of sparks. More drones appeared. They're scanning for your biosignature. He shouted to Mirathan. I'll give them a reason to fear it, she replied. Voice sharp, fierce. She moved fast, balanced. Her frame whined under pressure, but her steps were stronger than ever. Mira wasn't running to escape. She was running to fight. Jalen threw her a compact EMP grenade. Toss it when they close in. Short range only, she nodded, then broke left through. A narrow junk path. Drones followed her like bloodhounds. Her feet kicked up rust and ash. Her breath stayed steady. Every second she led them away from the outpost was one more second Yalin could finish rigging the failsafe behind her. The sky cracked again. The dropship had landed. Metal boots slammed against the ground. The Biogen Retrieval Force, 6 genetically enhanced bounty troopers. Their helmets were bone white, bodies armored with exo-rigs. One of them pointed to her footprints. She's still close. No kill order unless the brain is compromised. Alive is priority. They moved like Mashin's. Mira slid behind a half-buried engine and waited. Her mobility frame buzzed against her back, ready. Her fingers hovered over the EMP charge. She peeked through a crack. 3 drones hovered above, scanning now. She jumped up and hurled the device high into the air. A bright flash blinded everything. The drones sparked and dropped like stones. Mira dove and rolled out, ignoring the pain shooting through her legs. Her frame hissed but held. Then a voice came loud. Cruel, and far too close. You run well, Subject K9. But this is the end. One of the soldiers stepped into view. His armor bore a red stripe across the chest. Unit commander. He raised his weapon, but Yalin appeared from the junk pile beside him and slammed a metal bar into the side of his helmet. Sparks flew. The commander staggered. Mira didn't hesitate. She raised her blaster and shot him point blank in the leg joint. The soldier dropped to one knee. Yalin tackled him fully, wrenching the weapon away. A move, Mira. He yelled. She ran again, this time toward the tunnel hatch behind the fuel tower. Yalin followed close behind. Blaster shots lit the air behind them. Scorching metal and stone, they slid into the underground tunnel and slammed the hatch. Yalin activated the collapse trigger. The tower above exploded seconds later, sealing the path behind them with a wave of flame and rubble. They breathed hard in the dark, their only light a flickering headlamp on Mira's frame. You okay? Yalin asked. I'm tired of running, she said between breaths. I know. But just one more time. There's a shuttle hidden near the ridge. If we make it there, we can go dark. She nodded. They moved fast through the tunnel. Old rebel routes, forgotten by most, but Yalin had mapped them long ago. The walls were damp, silent, full of ghosts. But they didn't stop above ground. The soldiers regrouped. The commander limped toward the flaming wreckage and activated a biosensor. A faint signal still pulsed. Mirash headed toward the ridge. The human knows the tunnels. Send the crawler units back in the tunnel. Mira paused. Her mobility frame beeped softly. Something wrong? Yalin asked. The backup battery's almost dead. Then we'll go without it. Mira looked down at her legs. I might fall. Then I'll carry you. She looked at him. For a second, the fear in her eyes faded. Let's finish this. They reached the final hatch and opened it to the canyon beyond. The stars had returned, blinking faintly through the dust sky. The shuttle sat quietly near the rocks, half buried, hidden under a camouflage. Jalen smiled. Almost there. Then the ground rumbled. A crawler unit, like a walking tank, emerged from the far side. Its spotlight locked onto them. A siren blared. The turret. Word, run, little one, Yalin shouted. Mira didn't think. She sprinted. She ran like she had never run before. The choice. The crawler's spotlight bathed the canyon in harsh white light. Its metal legs crushed stone as it moved toward Mira and Yalin, each thudding step like a countdown to death. A targeting laser traced the ground near Mira's feet. She ran harder, heart pounding, lungs burning behind her, Yalin fired a pulse shot at the crawler's optical lens. The beam sizzled, leaving a scorch mark, but barely slowed it down. The machine roared back with a turret blast, shaking the cliff walls and throwing dust into the air. Mira stumbled but didn't fall. She could see the shuttle now. It's sleek. A jewel, half hidden under camouflage netting. It wasn't military, just an old civilian escape craft Yalin had repaired in secret. She reached it and slammed the door panel that didn't open. Manual override. Yalin tossed her a key disc as he ducked behind a boulder. Another blast tore the ground beside him. He dove and rolled, skin scraped, gun almost slipping from his hands. Mira jammed the disc into the port. The panel blinked once, then hissed open. She looked back and froze. The crawler had Yalin in its sights. She didn't think. She ran straight back. Yalin, get up. He coughed, blood trickling from his mouth. A piece of shrapnel had caught him in the side. He tried to stand but staggered. Go. You have to leave now. Not without you. The crawler's turret charged again. Then suddenly, everything went silent. Mira heard a new sound, a soft tone from deep inside her mobility frame. A voice she had never heard before spoke in her mind, mechanical and calm. Genetic lock matched. Protocol release. Omega pulse armed. Mira blinked. A hidden part of the frame had just activated itself. Yalin looked at her in confusion. What's happening? She touched the back of her neck. A small panel opened. A red button blinked inside. There's a defense system in me. Something hidden. I think it's a failsafe. It can disable machines in a large radius. Will it stop the crawler? Yes. What's the catch? She looked at him. It might stop my heart too. Yalin froze. You can't use it. There's another way. We're out of time, she said. Mira stepped into the open. The crawler turned its turret toward her. The targeting laser painted her chest. She raised her hand slowly, took one step forward, then another. Come on, she whispered. The machine charged its final shot. She pressed the button. A massive pulse exploded from her frame, invisible to the eye but violent in its silence. The crawler jerked backward. Its turret spun uncontrollably. Sparks flew from its joints. Lights blinked out one by one. Then, with a final creak, it collapsed into the dust like a dead animal. Mira dropped to her knees. Yalin screamed her name and ran to her, ignoring his wound. She was breathing, but faintly. Her skin was pale, eyes half opened. Did it work? She asked. You did it. You stopped it. But you need help. Now he carried her to the shuttle, placed her gently in the back seat, and started the launch sequence. The console blinked green. Systems online. Hold on, Mira. Stay with Mesh looked at him with tired eyes. I was supposed to be erased. I was supposed to be weak. But I made a choice. You chose to fight. I chose to live. The shuttle engines came alive with a roar. The dust kicked up as they rose slowly into the sky. Below them, the dead crawler shrank in the distance, surrounded by silent wreckage. Yalin held her hand the entire way. Halfway through orbit, Mira's vitals spiked. Her body shook once, then fell still. Yalin opened the emergency medkit. He jabbed the stim injector into her chest. Her body jolted, but her eyes didn't open. He tried again, and again, and again. Then, finally, a breath, shallow, weak. But there he sat back, shaken. You stubborn little warrior, he whispered. She didn't answer, but her fingers curled around his sleeve. Outside the shuttle window, the stars opened up clear, endless, and full of paths they had never taken. For the first time, Mira wasn't running. She had chosen her fate and lived to see it. Second chance asterisk. The shuttle glided through the quiet dark of space, far from Axtar 6's broken skies and burning soil. Inside, dim lights cast a soft glow over Mira's still form. Her chest rose and fell slowly. The emergency medpod kept her alive, wrapped in warmth and gentle pulses of healing light. Yalin sat beside her, fingers laced tightly together, staring at her face like he was afraid she might disappear. His jacket was stained with dried blood from the fight. His arm trembled slightly, part exhaustion, part fear. But he never looked away. "Come on, Mira," he whispered. "You've come too far to stop now." A soft tone chimed from the console. Destination: near, a neutral orbital station hidden inside a dead moon. Not affiliated with any government. No one would scan her. No one would know who she was. It was the only safe place left. The shuttle docked with a gentle click. Mechanical arms extended and pulled them into the bay. Air hisses. Lights shifted. Green, the doors opened. Medical drones floated in, silent and precise. Yalin stood aside as they lifted Mira and placed her in a mobile healing bed. "Is she stable?" he asked. One of the drones flashed blue. "Barely." They wheeled her away toward the medical bay. Yalin followed without stopping to rest. He had made a promise. He wasn't going to break it. 3 days Pesejlan didn't leave her room. He slept in the chair, woke at every beep, and checked her vitals every hour. The doctors came and went. They said her nervous system had been hit hard by the pulse she triggered. Her brain was recovering slowly. There was no damage, but also no guarantee she'd wake. Still, Yalin stayed. On the morning of the 4th day, something changed. A light flickered near her head. A soft tone rang out. Her eyes opened. At first, they were hazy, confused. She looked around, then at him. "You're safe," Yalin said softly. "You're safe now." Miresh blinked. Her hand moved slowly, reaching out. He took it gently. "You came back." "Of course I did." She looked down at herself. No frame, no wires. Just soft blankets and medical pads. "Seem still here. Are still here." He nodded, smiling. The next few weeks were quiet, peaceful. Mira began physical therapy. Her legs were stiff, weak, but alive. No longer machines holding her up, only her own will. Jilin helped her every day. Sometimes he made her laugh. Other times he just sat in silence while she tried to take 2 steps instead of 1. Some nights they watched the stars from the observatory deck. "This place is quiet," she said once. "Too quiet?" "No," she smiled. "Just safe. I've never known safe. Now you do." They didn't talk much about the past. Not about the bounty, not about the experiments. But sometimes Mira would touch the back of her neck and say, "I still feel it. The thing inside me. You don't have to be what they made you," Yalin always said. "You can be something new." And slowly, she believed him. One day, while she practiced walking down the medical corridor without support, a nurse passed by and gasped, "Is that the same girl from the emergency bay?" "She doesn't look broken at all." Mira stopped and turned slowly to face Harry. "Was never broken," she said calmly. The nurse looked away, embarrassed, and left quickly. But Yalin grinned wide. "That was perfect," he said. She grinned too, just a little more. Days passed. Then, finally, Mira stood at the edge of the station's hangar beside a new shuttle. This time one she chose for herself. Sleek, fast, built for long travel and exploration. Jilin raised an eyebrow. "You sure you're ready?" She nodded. "I don't want to hide anymore. I want to see the stars. All of them. I want to find others like me. And tell them we're not trash. We matter." "You'll be brilliant at that," he said. "Are you coming with me?" Yalin hesitated, then smiled only. "If I get to be co-pilot, deal," she said. The shuttle door opened with a hiss. Mira stepped inside first, strong, standing tall, with no machine to carry her now. Just her own strength. As the engines warmed and the stars stretched out before them, Mira looked at Yalin and said, "You gave me a second chance." "No," he replied. "You took it," and together they left the past behind, toward light, toward hope, toward everything new. The end.